Samsung's long-awaited and very much hyped Galaxy S10 is here, but does it live up to its predecessors? Is it really worth all the hype with the punch-out camera and the wireless power share? Is it worth the upgrade from an S8, an S9, or even a Note 9? Let's find out in this review. A quick note before we get into the real meat of the review. I can only speak to my experience about the phone, meaning that I won't ding metaphorical points off issues I haven't personally experienced. However, I may acknowledge them based on the information I've seen, so let's get into the first glaring design point of the phone, the display. The display is, for the most part, incredible. The S10 Plus boasts the same resolution and options to change between them as the previous S9 series, capable of resolutions up to 3040 by 1440. However, there are some upgrades here to be found. The first of which is that the S10 Plus has a slightly larger screen size of 6.4 inches, as opposed to the S9 Plus's 6.2-inch display size, bringing the S10 Plus's display into the same vein as the Note 9. Samsung has implemented a taller aspect ratio of 19:9 in the S10 Plus, which again is taller than the S9 Plus, as well as even the Note 9's aspect ratio of 18.5:9. The next notable upgrade over the previous display is the true HDR10 Plus capabilities, allowing for more accurate consumption of that content. Personally, I really appreciate the visuals of HDR content. I think it provides a level of color accuracy not previously seen in video content, and I'm glad to see it implemented on a phone. Finally, the last real technical upgrade is the peak brightness of the display. The S10 Plus has a peak brightness level of 1200 nits, as opposed to its predecessor's 1100 nits. Although that might seem like a minor increase, it easily displays in the real world. I've noticed the S10 Plus, by default, having a brighter screen even in the same lighting conditions than the S9 Plus or even the Note 9. And this actually brings me to my first real criticism of the phone. For my taste, the screen's just a little bit too bright and overbearing on average. Samsung claims that this added brightness helps with usability in bright and direct sunlight, but being someone who lives in a desert environment, I can say that the brightness achieved by the previous phones were plenty fine to use even in direct sunlight, and I really don't see any tangible benefits to this. This leads into the real-world performance, or rather the cosmetics of the display. Just like the previous phones, the S10 Plus has a curved edge display. Samsung has also reduced the size of the size bezels as well as the chin bezel. The only real interruption in the display comes from the hole punch or pill punch cutouts, which is Samsung's answer to the infamous notch in order to reduce the top bezel. The result is a very unique identifying design, providing some passive marketing for Samsung. Having used an iPhone XS Max with the notch on full effect, I can say that I personally prefer even the larger cutout design of the S10 Plus. However, that's something highly dependent on personal preference, and your mileage may vary. After about as little as a day, I didn't really notice the cutout, and it just seems to be something I passively ignore now, much like how you ignore your nose even though it's constantly in your vision. Due to losing the top bezel, Samsung has done away with the notification LED, one of my favorite smaller features of their phones, and other Android phones. I don't quite know why they couldn't just have the LEDs around the cutout blink on-off, much like it does when taking a selfie to replicate the functionality. But it's the reduction in side bezels that bring me to the next real pain point of the phone. Samsung's quest to reduce the bezels as much as possible, as well as slightly narrow the phone's side rails, have resulted in, at least in my experience, a less usable phone than its previous iterations. This was a problem to a lesser degree on my S9 Plus, but not one on the Note 9 due to its wider body. The sides are so thin and narrow on the S10 Plus that oftentimes part of my palm will touch some random part of the bottom of the screen, especially when reaching my thumb over to tap something on the left side of the screen. This issue is amplified when laying down on my side using the phone, i.e. my nightly ritual of browsing memes until I fall asleep. This could be because of a number of factors. It could be the way I hold my phone, as it is more comfortable for me to use my palm to help support on the side, as opposed to just letting it solely rest on my little finger. It could also be because I have very large hands. Whatever the reason may be, the bottom line is that I found the usability of the S10 Plus in this regard to be lesser than the Note 9 and even its direct predecessor, the S9 Plus. If the S10 Plus is going to take design cues from the Note 9, because after all, we've seen the S10 Plus adopt the screen size, then this would have been one I'd have liked to see come over. Not wanting to bulk up the phone too much, as we're really only talking about the matter of a few millimeters to make the phone handle much better, I went with both Samsung's leather case and their silicone case. Both are very thin, still allow for wireless charging, and solve the aforementioned handling issue. I found that while the silicone case significantly reduced the slipperiness of the phone, it collects so much pocket lint and dust, resulting in the top end of the phone being absolutely filthy when pulling it out of your pocket. The leather case doesn't suffer from this issue, but makes the phone less grippy in the hand. Once again, this is up to you to decide your personal preference, but I personally went with the leather case, which Chloe chewed up. Perhaps the last major talking point of the phone is the camera, and quite honestly, I believe I am unqualified to really speak about the quality of the camera. I'm not a big picture taker. I rarely take pictures, let alone use my phone to do so. As a result, to my normie judgment regarding pictures on the S10 Plus, they look just fine. I appreciate the various lens options on the S10 Plus as well, most notably the slightly widened selfie lens. However, I would defer to other reviewers in the industry to get a better perspective regarding any potential shortcomings on the S10 Plus, as I've been given the impression that if you're a smartphone camera power user, it falls short. The last major talking point of the phone, and the final point of contention, is the ultrasonic fingerprint reader located under the screen of the S10 and S10 Plus. This is a departure from the traditional optical readers being used on previous Samsung phones. And I have to say, we didn't quite know how good we had it with the previous Samsung optical readers, especially the Note 9s. In a nutshell, the ultrasonic reader on the S10 series feels like a significant downgrade. But that comes at a loss of accuracy when your fingers are pretty dry. You know, the default state that your fingers are in? When I first got to using the S10 Plus, when thinking about writing this section of the review, I was ready to just absolutely tear the sensor apart. For about the first week of using the S10 Plus, even after registering the same thumbprint with 3 different profiles, it averaged around 20 to 30% accuracy. However, a 4th profile and 1 software update pushed by Samsung later, the experience with the sensor improved quite a bit. And I'd now say it gets around 80% accuracy after the software update. This isn't even a matter of not quite accurately placing my thumb on the sensor, as I get the message, fingerprint not recognized, and not, place your entire thumb over the reader. However, 80% isn't good enough, especially compared to the almost 100% accuracy of the sensor on the S9 Plus and Note 9. To me, I also preferred the rear positioning of previous phone sensors. It felt more natural and ergonomic. The ultrasonic reader, despite being cooler than the lame, by comparison, optical reader, it feels like a downgrade, and such an essential usability component shouldn't be sacrificed. The average user doesn't want to, and more importantly, shouldn't have to, register their print more than once just to get the sensor working a barely passable amount of time. Past all of that, not a whole lot more can be said about the S10 Plus. It has the typical iterational improvements in processing power that we've come to expect from phones, and the battery life is slightly better, if not at least on par with the Note 9s. Wireless power share seems a lot less gimmicky and actually useful when used to charge a smartwatch or, say, the Galaxy Buds, as opposed to being used to charge a buddy's dying phone. And Samsung's Android 9 One UI is a fantastic improvement over their Android 8 implementation, with my favorite feature being the built-in night mode. And then of course, a standard line of features: wireless fast charging, USB-C fast charging, out of the box by the way, a headphone jack, which yes, is still a standard feature, and any phone without it is quite honestly not feature complete, stereo speakers, and of course, an always-on display option. Oh, I almost forgot, the Bixby button is still here, but it can be easily remapped to a double press, so you reduce your chances of accidentally triggering it. At the end of it all, the S10 Plus is a mixed bag. It seems like for the sake of new designs or slightly forward technological progress, some essential usability factors were sacrificed, making the S10 Plus land in this almost awkward place in terms of a release. However, compared to the rest of the market, if you were to spend $1,000 on a smartphone, the S10 Plus should be the one you spend your money on. But I would say, save your money and get a Note 9, whose price has dropped. The last question to answer is, so should I upgrade to the S10 or the S10 Plus? And the answer is, it depends. If you have an S7 or similarly aged series or below, then yes, it's about that time to upgrade. If you have something from around the S8 era, it depends on how rough of a condition your phone is in. If you have an S9 or something from around that window of release, it's really dependent on how much you want the latest and greatest thing, but in general, the answer is no. Finally, if you have the Note 9, you absolutely should not upgrade. You should either wait for the Note 10 or Note 11, and quite honestly, if you have the Note 9, you still have the best smartphone on the market right now. Thank you guys for watching. Please tap that like button, smash the subscribe button, and slay that bell icon. And thank you to our affiliate, cultureofgaming.com, where you can find all the latest gaming news, reviews, and opinion pieces.